This is a book for the ladies and anyone else who has a partner. It's called Lose That Loser and Find the Right Guy or Partner. Stop falling for Mr. or Mrs. Unavailable, Mr. or Mrs. Unreliable, Mr. Bad Boy or Miss Bad Girl, Mr. or Mrs. Needy, Mr. or Mrs. Married, or Mr. or Mrs. Sex Maniac by Jane Matthews. Lose that loser and find the right partner. Contents page. Introduction. Most of us had the misfortune of dating a loser at some stage in our life, so know just how painful it can be. Life with a loser is getting you nowhere fast. It's time to lighten up, be bold, and make way for a new bright future unencumbered by Mr. or Mrs. Wrong. If only the hurt was like a toothache, a visit to the dentist, the bold decision to yank the problem out of your life, and the immense pain is swiftly over. But far more common is the grazed knee scenario. The wound doesn't seem so sore at first, so you ignore it, but then it turns septic. Every time you think you're healing, the scab gets knocked and your wound is reinfected. When it finally goes away, you are left with a bad scar. If the title of this book sheltered by me as you browse the shelves, chances are that's because you're sick of your wound and of it hurting so much. You're frightened of the scar it might leave. You look around you and see other people apparently getting it right and wonder why the guys or girls you date always turn out to be losers. You're probably beginning to wonder whether you have a pick me sign over your head, visible only to every guy or girl who's already attached every commitment phobe, Klingon or full-on Lothario, every unreliable, unpredictable, unavailable or plain unpleasant breed of loser. You want to know how to get your current loser out of your life, and you want to know how you can spot the next one before you allow yourself to fall for him or her. Fear not. The aim of this book is to help you shake your losing habit for good, so read on. Starting with a look at some familiar loser types in the games they play, you'll discover what attracts you to them, and then to you. Once you know and understand what's really pulling your own strings, you have a much better chance of rewriting the way you do relationships. The next step is to take a deep breath, think positive thoughts. You know he or she is bad for you, but how do you let him or her go? It's never easy to kick a losing habit. You need help to move on, so keep reading. The best way to rid yourself of any habit is to replace it with a better habit. So get rid of that old nasty habit and find a better, more beneficial habit. You deserve the best, so go on. Take the decision to get rid of your loser and regain control of your own life and happiness. The next step is to take a deep breath, think positive thoughts. Believe in yourself and your innermost feelings, and rid yourself not only of the loser boyfriend or girlfriend currently making you miserable, but also the mindset which in the past has encouraged another variety of the same species to come in and simply take his or her place, like weeds that keep growing back because the roots haven't been pulled out. We'll also give you tips through this book on how to get through the months that follow the end of your love affair. Unfortunately, the fact that you're in a bad relationship doesn't mean ending it will hurt any less. However, you will then be able to make the most of going solo, and once you're ready, move on to the winner's podium with the kind of guy or the kind of guys or girls who help you feel a whole lot better, not worse, about yourself, and who complement your character rather than stifling it or criticising it. Like any journey, using this book to lose your losers requires you to make a little effort and to challenge yourself as well as your guy or girl. You'll be looking at who you are, what made you that way, what you believe, and what exactly you want in the future. If that seems like too much hard work or worries or scares you, just ask yourself whether life with a loser is an infinitely more effort, and whether you are not more scared of having to put up with your loser for life. Go on, lose that loser. Chapter 1. Are you into a loser? It's the easiest thing in the world to spot that your girlfriend's or boyfriend's new man is a loser. You know it, and so do all your other girlfriends or boyfriends. But spotting that your own new lover is a loser is next to impossible. This chapter is a quick-fire guide to some of the more common losers you are likely to encounter in your search for Mr. or Miss Right. Prince Charming or Princess Charming. You'd have to have been locked in a tower for 100 years not to know that a girl's got to kiss a lot of toads before she finds her handsome prince or princess. The trouble is, Mr. or Mrs. Wrong or Miss Wrong can feel like Mr. or Miss Right if you don't have your flashing alert button on at all times. On the whole, toads are pretty easy to spot. They're under your feet, getting in the way with the other lowlife, and it's obvious that getting up close and personal with them will be a poisonous experience. But what happens when a toad somehow manages to disguise himself or herself as Prince or Princess Charming and makes you believe you'll live happily ever after? Let's face it, we've all been there. Convince ourselves this love affair really will have a happy ending, only to discover that beneath the shiny exterior he or she's just another slime ball, expecting you to adore him or her, warts and all. Some girls make a real habit of it. Take Elena, for example. Stunning girl with bucket loads of talent and a fatal attraction for any guy whose toothbrush resides at another woman's house. Her men always tell her they'll leave the other woman, but just end up buying a second toothbrush to keep at Elena's place. In the end, she states she just got tired of having to wake up in the night to let him out and going on vacation by herself. She wails. Rosie, on the other hand, doesn't stick to one type of toad. Her first partner's love of doing deals bankrupted them, so she then sought security with a guy whose mother still bought his socks and was thrilled that someone else would be booking her son's haircuts in the future. Now Rosie has moved on to a man who only needs her when his boss orders him to bring a partner to a corporate event. She always says when he gets his next promotion he'll be able to ease up and we'll see more of each other. At least he can take care of himself. Yes, and taking care of himself and his own needs, not yours, is exactly what he's doing, along with all the other Mr. Wrongs. He makes you laugh, but the joke's on you if he's fooling around with other women or guys. You probably know some of the Mr. Wrong or Miss Wrong types already. You've dated them, your friends have dated them, you've read about them in the glossy magazines, but read on to find out more. The losers list is endless. Some losers are easier to spot than others, but here's a rough guide to some of the most common ones in circulation. 1. Mr. Married Man or Miss Married Woman. Even if he isn't or she isn't wearing a ring, you'll soon know from the way she or he keeps looking at his or her watch. Won't take you out in daylight, never suggests you meet his or her friends, and can't see you at the weekend that there are 3 of you in the relationship. Mr. or Miss Unavailable. This hardest to work out what's wrong type, Miss or Mr. Unavailable, is closely related to Miss or Mr. Married Man. He or she's perfect for you in every way except when you want something from him or her, like a bit of reassurance or comfort, or even just a little bit of him or her. Emotionally, you might just as well be on separate continents, but you'll persevere because, after all, it's your fault for wanting too much, right? Wrong. Mr. or Miss Bad Boy or Girl. Think Joey in Friends. He's such good fun to be around and fantastic in bed. How could you not find him irresistible? Until the morning after, when the phone doesn't ring, and 3 weeks later when he finally calls, you find someone else's bra stuffed down the side of a sofa. He fixes you with that gorgeous naughty boy grin and says he's sorry, it won't happen again, and the tooth fairy is real. Yeah, and so is Santa Claus. Mr. Sex Addict. or Mr. Sex Addict. Mr. or Miss Sex Addict has the same fixation with satisfying one part of his or her anatomy, but he or she won't always need to be unfaithful to prove it, unless you consider centerfolds competition. This man or woman has never found a way of expressing what he or she is feeling except through sex. If he or she wants a cuddle, he or she thinks he or she wants sex. If he or she is scared, he or she thinks he or she wants sex. If he or she wants you to understand him or her, you've guessed it, sex again. Of course, if you're not around to have sex with him or her, they're perfectly capable of satisfying themselves with the help of their internet or phone friends. Mr. or Mrs. Unreliable, or Mr. Unreliable. This loser doesn't really need you to be around much. Out of sight is out of mind as far as he or she is concerned. He or she may love being with you, but don't kid yourself that you can count on him or her, because he or she is still a kid at heart. He or she will break up or break his promises or her promises because he or she had his or her fingers crossed and forget everything important you tell him or her, including to turn up. Mr. or Miss Needy. Mr. or Miss Needy would turn up and keep on turning up even when you would rather he or she didn't, because you'd like the occasional moment to yourself. From the outside, this sensitive, open guy or girl may look like Miss or Mr. Right, especially if you've just escaped from one of these other unsavory types. But the steel in his or her eyes when he or she says they're so in love with you they'd die if you ever left them is likely to give you the shivers sooner or later. He or she will satisfy your craving for sandwiches at 2 a.m. if you have satisfied his or her need for round-the-clock approval. In other words, once you're hooked, it's tough to escape from this man or woman. He or she doesn't just want to be in your bed. He or she wants to be in your DNA, and he or she wants you to get rid of everything else that might claim a nanosecond of your attention, whether it's work, friendships, social life, or hobbies. Lonely hearts. Ask yourself this. If your friends were dating any of the following characters, or you came across their CVs in the Lonely Hearts ads, would any of them seem like a good catch? Unlikely. High roller, looking to share some adrenaline with girl or man who's happy whether she or he's holding his or her chips at the casino or his or her towel at the surf beach. I've more than enough excitement for the both of us, and that's what will thrill you. Contact Mr. or Miss. Action. Few personal ads will be as honest as the examples here, so be sure you always read between the lines when searching for Mr. or Miss Right. My wife really doesn't understand me, but you and I know exactly what we need: love, sex and secrecy, and there's no need for either of us to stay for breakfast. Contact Mr. Married Man. Lonely guy in the wood seeks playmate. Life will be a fairy tale if you'll just join me in stopping the world so we can escape together. We'll live alone on nectar and 1001 stories of how I've been misunderstood, misused and misled. Contact Mr. Needy. Unattached, uninhibited, unbelievably gorgeous guy available for anything you like, apart from comfort, communication, commitment and caring. Contact Mr. Unavailable. Trophy girlfriend required for confused Casanova. I'll win you over and treat you to the time of your life, but no strings attached. The only place you'll ever tie me down is in bed. Contact Mr. Bad Boy. Will you adopt me? Disorganized male missing home seeks grown up to take him, his career, finances, social life and wardrobe in hand. Ideal partner for any girl who wants to practice having kids. Contact Mr. Unreliable. It's important to learn from past mistakes, which means being careful not to fall into the trap of simply swinging from one breed of loser to another. Hooked on sex. Want to hook up with me and share my passion for phone sex, chat room sex, kinky sex, 2 ways, 3 ways, anyways, pawn shops and round the clock masturbation. If you'll be my centerfold, I'll let you watch me get off on everything but loving sex with you. Contact Mr. Sex Addict. Fearless male looking for followers. I ought to be running the country, but I'll settle for running your life. I'll take charge in the bedroom and beyond. Just don't call me a control freak or do anything I order you not to do. Or not to. Contact Mr. Controlling. Loser, loser, loser. The list of losers just goes on, and while the characters listed here are some of the most common Mr. Wrongs or Miss Wrongs, you may well find the species between the sheets turns out to be a combination of several of them. Mr. Me or Miss Me. Mr. Me or Miss Me's only real love object is him or herself. Watch him or her walk past the mirror. He or she can't, at least not until he or she's cast a critical look at him or herself to make sure he or she's profile is as gorgeous as it was when he or she admired it in the car mirror 2 minutes ago. You're there simply to make him or her look good, and he or she loves himself or herself more than he or she will ever love you. And then there's more mentioned here. More benign losers. Keep in mind, nobody's perfect. This includes you, so try to recognise the difference between annoying foibles and fatal flaws in your search for Mr. Right. Maybe you're expecting too much. Serious losers. There are other losers with addictions, alcoholics, gamblers, drug addicts, men addicted to violence that you may have come across, but this book is not about them. If your man has a problem, that means he's breaking the law, causing you psychological harm or posing any kind of physical threat. Then he needs professional help. The way he behaves is his responsibility, not yours. But if getting him out proves difficult, don't hesitate to seek out some help and support for yourself, and ring the cops. Get him out of there. The loser quiz. Okay. To help you focus on whether his or her behaviour makes you feel sick to the stomach or just a little uptight, try the following. Are you into a loser quiz? That should quickly help you realise whether he or she's worth keeping. And there's some questions there. More questions. So how does he or she measure up? Every answer from 1 to 4 is a wake-up call that all is not well, and so forth. How does he make you feel, or how does she make you feel? If he or she makes you feel bad about yourself, he or she is probably not the man or woman for you. You deserve to be made feel special every day. Okay, some more information here. How you may feel, or how that person makes you feel. These are only a few of the warning signs that he or she is probably not the right one for you. This is not to say he or she won't be right for someone else. One man's or one girl's loser may be another girl's the right or miss right, depending on what you both bring to the relationship, which is what we're going to look at in the next chapter. All about you. If you serially attract losers, then there must be something wrong with men, right? Or women. Well, yes and no. Since there is no such thing as a loser, period, one girl's loser or one man's loser is another's Mr. Perfect or Miss Perfect. There must be a lot within you yourself dictating the type of guy you attract and stay with. As easily as it is to blame the guy or girl when things go wrong, it really doesn't do any harm to look at yourself too, or as well. A bit of history. Happy families. Looking at your relationship history. If you're serious about giving up on losers, you need to get a handle on your own hidden agenda or your motive. You might just have one. Are you homesick? Looking for clues. It's time to face up to some home truths and kick some old habits if you want to have more luck with men or women. If you felt undervalued as a child, you may now search out a Mr. or Miss Bad Boy or Girl. If only you can tune yourself into something better, maybe he or she will stick around. Won't he or she? More programming. Now let's look at the other dusty suitcases in your psychological attic. This one's labelled school, college, friendship, first love and so on. The one's labelled school, college, friendship, first love and so on. If your first experience of love was more devastating disappointment than young dream, you'll probably keep your heart locked up ever since to protect it. How other people make us feel has a huge impact on how we view ourselves. All change. Starting to operate with your eyes wide open and with your self-awareness fully charged is a giant step toward building your self-esteem and taking control of your life, and that's where you're now capable of heading. The faster the carnival ride, the tighter we hang on to the rails, but change requires the courage to let go. We have it in us to become the people we've always wanted to be, living the life we deserve to live. So what's stopping us? And you can read this for a self-esteem check. If you don't accept and like yourself, deep down you won't expect others to like or accept you either. Go through the checklist to see how full your esteem bottle is. Are you still full of fizz, or did you go flat a long time ago? Who loves you, baby? Okay, answer these questions here. How did you score? Great expectations. It's a plain fact that no single relationship can provide you with everything you want, need and dream of. So be careful not to expect too much in your search for Mr. or Miss Right. After all, he or she's going to be Miss Right or Mr. Right, not Miss or Mr. Perfect. And certainly don't give up or let down your friends in pursuit of him or her. Yeah. Stay earthbound. Okay. In the here and now, in the reality. Watch out for your fantasies, right? The phantasmal, the imagination. What if? Okay, expectations are the other thing in your dusty attic that you need to sort out. You might have picked them up at the same time as all the other stuff we've been talking about in 10 mistakes we all make too often. Okay, just before you move on, look back at your list of losing lovers and run the 10 mistakes test, page 49 on them. How many times have you been with Mr. Wrong or Miss Wrong for the wrong reasons? Chapter 3, taking charge. Time to take control then, and that means control of your own life, not his or hers, because he or she is the only one who can do anything to change him or herself. No matter how much time, trouble and tears you're willing to put into making him or her over, it's pain down the drain unless he or she is dissatisfied, being needy, unreliable, bad or sad. In other words, he or she has to want to read this book too and understand what's pulling his or her strings in order to change and to make your relationship work. Right? So what's keeping you? As we learned in the last chapter, the more you understand yourself, the more able you'll be to take charge and move on. But perhaps you're stuck at the knowing what you should do but not wanting to stage. A bit like staring a plate of spinach in the face, your head and your heart are at war. This chapter is about changing your mindset to bring heart and head in line. And here's an example. Okay, so what's your excuse? With all the scheming and dreaming in the world, it's unlikely you'll ever change Mr. or Miss Wrong into Mr. or Miss Right. Yeah, so what's your excuse? The only person who can do something about your relationship is you. Think about what you really want, and here's some information here on that. What you can do, what you should do. Okay. You may think that he's a trophy boyfriend or girlfriend, she's a girlfriend, trophy girlfriend, makes you look good, gives you that prestige, etc. Celebrity status. Admitting your fears. The $1 Million Man. Believe it or not, it is not ordained that women should always end up with losers, so don't lose hope. Yeah, it's not a divine blessing to be ending up with losers all the time, right? He doesn't bestow it upon you when you're born. It's not like a gift. Okay, there's no such thing as a perfect man or woman, but there is such a thing as a perfect man or woman for you. You got to figure that out, right? Common denominators. Your love wish list won't look the same as anyone else's, because fortunately we're all different. If we weren't, there'd be no point looking for Mr. Right or Miss Right. All that competition for his or her attention would most likely have turned him into a Mr. or Miss Bad Boy or Girl. Banking on love. Are you better off without them, possibly? Oh, you'd have to have a look at that to see what it's actually talking about. Check his emotional bank balance. Is he worth his weight in gold? It's handy to keep a written record of how much your partner is investing in your relationship. Make it a clean break. One of the greatest affirmations is to be loved, valued and respected for who you are, not for who your man or woman wants you to be. You have the right to be that individual. If someone's like dictating that you should be like them, or this way, that way, then they're not allowing you that individualism. Make a clean break from them. If they're control freaks, breaking up is never easy. Yeah, sometimes you just need to get it in your head, you know. Walk away. He or she may be a loser, but he or she will try to persuade you to see it their way, right? His or her way. Okay. Yeah, in relationships, I found that break up, all the tears, you know, and all the sadness and all the anger and all that sort of stuff. After a while, I made my brain realise, I didn't need to go for all that crap. You know, she's laughing at me, you know, all through the relationship. Oh, I love you, all this sort of stuff. I never muck around you, all that sort of stuff. And then to win over me, right? To win the situation, she'll say, "Oh yeah, the guy came down and friend up the road or whatever, and helped me clean up, and then we lay down on the bed. We didn't have sex, right? And then we went to sleep, and then cuddled, and then we had sex. Yeah, that sort of crap. So I just, that's it. I'm out of here. You know, don't need to play these games. You know, it's over. I'm out of there, and just walked. Yeah, it's like walking away from a fight. You know, a confrontation. You don't have to get your nose and your teeth all punched out. You know, your nose punched and your teeth all knocked out. You know, better man. It took years and years. Old fella said, you know, a better man or a stronger man walks away. Right? So, no, come on, man. Sometimes you can't, you know. But if you can, yeah, walk away. It hurts, it sucks, but get out of there, man. Location. Here's some more information here. You could always remain friends later, you know. Maybe if you had kids or something like that in your relationship. It's always worked out like that for us, for me. So, preparing a script. Oh, it's telling you how you break it up, whatever. Right? Write down a script. You read it to them or something, or you memorise it or whatever. Write in the right script. Look him in the eye, and so forth. Dealing with his reaction. Yeah, because they want to control the situation. They might say, "Oh, if you leave, I'll jump off the roof, jump off the bridge," you know, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. Or I won't hit you again. I'll never do it again. I'm so sorry. Or I won't do it again, and they do that sort of thing. Right? Okay. Body talk. Other possible reactions. A so what guy. Dealing with your own reaction. Yeah, if you want to get rid of him or get rid of her, shaking him off. Loss is a roller coaster. Roller coaster stages. Tighten your safety belt. The power of words. Yeah, there's a lot more information here how to get over a breakup. Yeah, you might go out there and find some friends, right? And you'll forget all about it. Go spend some time with your friends. Go out and have fun. Single life might be better, right? You don't have all those emotional baggage and all those problems, all the mind games and the jealousies and all that sort of stuff, accusations. Yeah. Brilliant boosters. Get out there and have some fun, put it all behind you. It's all about the journey. Pamper yourself, talk to yourself, forgive yourself. Don't blame yourself for the breakup if it's not your fault. All that sort of stuff. Turning dreams into reality. Might be that opportunity for you to get fitter, have some fun, all the things you wanted to do. Enjoying the single life. Try being single for 18 years. Okay, celebrating singledom. Do some yoga or something, do something different to get you out of the blues, get you over it, get your mind off it. Emotional alert. What's this one here? Try to be gentle with yourself when you have a down day. It'll soon pass. Yeah, like Bruce Lee said, he says, man, it might be raining now, but baby, the sun's going to come out soon, right? No more losers. Yeah, don't go back into that loser mode, right? You get another loser, then you go through all that crap again, and then you end up with another loser and go through the crap again. It's like a dog chasing a tail, right? It's a never ending cycle. Finding a new man or a new woman, right? Here's some suggestions. Reality check. See if you're do this test or whatever it is. See if you're in love with being in love. All that sort of stuff, right? Are you for real? Are you just being silly? Are you ready for love? The shopping list approach. Okay, what are the essential male ingredients or female ingredients to satisfy appetite for love and contentment? What do you want next time, right? Do you want more communication, more openness, more trust? What's this? Great things about great guys or great women. Added extras. Blindsided by Miss Right or Mr. Right. The only measure of what you put on your Miss or Mr. Right shopping list is what's right for you and you alone. Tune into your feelings, your emotions, right? How do you feel? You may well have been stuck in a needy rut when with your loser, but your life was fueled by emotion, and even though those emotions were negative ones, like insecurity, anger, or frustration, they brought an edginess, a perverse excitement to the relationship. Don't make the mistake of thinking it's not love, just because that adrenaline is missing, or because it seems too easy or too peaceful to be what you've been looking for all this time. Okay, you might meet a Miss or Mr. Right. And go get advice if you're not really sure. You don't want to make the wrong move, or be back in Mr. Loserville or Miss Loserville, etc., etc. Okay, gently does it. Build your own future. It's only in fairy tales that relationships start with the first kiss and end happily ever after. First kiss, you meet your Prince Charming or Princess Charming, you get a first kiss and you think you're off on a white steed, going to the castle to live forever and ever, happily ever after. Yeah, it's all in the fairy tale books that you read as a kid, right? But the princess who gets saved from the tower by a stunning, charming knight and gets taken off to Wonderland, right, to his castle and on a white horse, and they live happily ever after forever. Yeah. It's index. Can you spot a loser? Check the loser list, page 14. How does your guy or gal rank? Score him or her on the loser quiz, page 24. Do you confuse great sex with true love? Review the 10 mistakes women make about relationships, page 49. Are you ready to lose that loser? Learn tips for dumping him or her. Why is life better without a loser? Discover 14 fab reasons to celebrate your singledom. How will you find the right guy or gal? Create a shopping list of what you really want in a lover, page 130. Okay, so that's a great book that will help me, lose the loser and find the right Mr. or Miss Right, okay, and stop falling for these ones listed here, okay, because you're selfish, it's all about them, you're deceiving, etc. So yeah, read this book, you can get hold of this book by Jane Matthews. It's a brilliant book. Yeah, if you like this particular video, then subscribe to our channel, give us a like, add your comments down below, and we'll get back to those as soon as we can. And share this video with all your family, friends and others that may have a loser in their relationship, all that sort of thing, and give them this sound advice, go through it with them, learn from each other, strive not to make the same mistake again if you're in a loser relationship, right?